He's up right up there with like Ken Burns as far as historical facts and information.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, our kids need more of that. They need to get out and experience what they want.
Yeah,
Right.
and real
Yeah,
history.
They must,
Because
they
if they
must
looked
know
up
what they're doing.
on AI, Google search,
Yeah.
they would see citizens in there. now.
All right, okay, see, yeah, talk to you later.
Doing this, who's changing this?
Your shed door supposed to
It's
be
great.
open?
No, it was, I was out.
The figures
I
are
was
so
home.
fun for.
Oh, you.
I wasn't home.
They're going through so many
Yeah, I
changes.
do a little dirt work.
Yeah, that's,
Like,
it's definitely a,
Cam's out there getting that car out.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were
I
back
know where
in.
you got the farm.
you got so much going on and you just got,
I do.
I hope he didn't leave for the weekend.
No, no.
Leave the
It's a
door
big
open.
Keep
job.
loving them through it, Dad.
daughter's the oldest one. She's pretty level headed.
That helps.
Yeah, tried it again that morning.
It ain't going well. He's upset.
He's the middle.
He is just, he's not happy about it. He's just crashed, right? You gotta go over it.
It's hard. I'm gonna tell you a really good book to get. I let's do that. It was but I had to cover up the cover when I read it. Because it says, yes, your team is crazy. But it's a
Yeah.
really good book. I can't remember the author.
That's gonna put us to work.
And he covers the full spectrum, but you'll find your own situation in there.
Yeah.
They'll be worse than what you're dealing
Yeah.
with, but he's a child psychologist, works with family psychology, and he talks about that frontal lobe not being developed, and they really can't like do logic very well, because they're not developed to do it. And they're nuts, and their hormones are just crazy.
See, I was talking
Really
about
good book.
paperwork and then you change
Yeah.
things.
Done, zero.
I mean, us adults are getting that way because all we are is glued to it.
Their attention span isn't there because their development is there. Like you'll tell me to go for laundry 3 times and you keep getting to bring it up.
You got everything else going through their head. That's definitely crazy times.
It is. Outside is the best. It's never fun.
It is. It's pretty long.
Well, we took the kids, especially that middle one, I took them trout fishing. And as long as we could talk without looking at each other, we would just talk.
Really?
Yeah, or a long drive, but usually hiking or fishing. Then it's not looking at each other, and he just opened up. I wouldn't have to say very much at all. That was how I unlocked him.
We started doing fishing last year.
It helps a lot. Good.
And-
I think it's a fly fishing shop opening soon downtown.
Is it?
Mhm. I know. No, I'm excited for it.
That takes a little more teaching you.
Sometimes it's a worm and a hook too around here. I don't fly fish, I just fish.
That's all we do.
Yep. Oh, Mark's not here.
If you keep putting it back, then maybe you can stay here.
Who moved it? For cleaning, for a meeting.
I think you gotta look it around.
This is the war. Yeah.
I know I wasn't late this morning.
What?
Good thing I wasn't late this morning.
Yeah.
From Mark.
That's all yours.
Oh,
I got
mine.
Mark's.
This is Mark.
Yeah, I'm
I'll
gonna
put it
take
in
that.
his mailbox if you want me to.
Well, just throw that on here because this
Oh,
is his
okay.
file. I didn't want to reach him over at
Yeah,
desk.
fine, yeah. Good morning, Ben.
Keep down a little bit, it's a little bit deep. Yeah.
Thank you. Minutes.
I think so.
That's from.
Huh?
It's stuff from that employee assistance program stuff, so. Someone will look at that, maybe about the mental health programs from employees and their kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know it was over there. Can we,
Yeah.
it's gonna sit there for another year, Ben. Can I just get rid of it?
I'll be glad when know it's there.
Okay.
She can hand it
I'm
out.
trying to see the shelf.
Here's your screen.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
What's that?
This is that email I sent her and she answered about the.
Oh,
Yeah, last week, you forgot to stay
I
home.
really was
When you
just-
go next to the doctor and find out you have walking
So,
pneumonia.
I don't know if we need to just.
bring it up one vote. Is Mark gonna get on one?
Maybe, he's gonna try.
I know how that.
Remember when it was, I tried. So in and out at my end.
Yes, and that's when it's gonna be locked up, rather not.
Right.
Because then you're.
I know, and then it's interrupted and.
About 5. Association accounts.
Oh, that's a lot better book than the other one. isn't it?
I know it was just. Oops.
80 years.
Put that on the bookshelf later.
She's, oh, yeah. Yeah, just rid of it.
Morning, Zach. Morning, Alex.
Good morning.
These are the ones you sent out by email. Anything you've been in this back?
All the ones that's.
On two of the houses.
Let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's back on. Excuse me. He's thrilled to send me pictures of having clam chowder. Like he always does. That's the place where he gets some of this clam chowder.
I'm not big into clams, so I guess I won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, you look like that. That's, can't beat that one. Paul is over in California. And yeah. Want to get some clam chowder, rub it in, give it a bad time. There's some really good clam chowder there.
You want the.
You look at some budget?
Thanks, Ben. Really appreciate that. It's just what I wanted. Exactly how I wanted to.
Mark.
Lena, Lieutenant, and,
It's on.
All right, it's 9:30. All those that so choose, please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will call the meeting to order. 4 present in person and 1 electronically. As a reminder, the meeting is being recorded. If you choose not to be recorded, you have the option of leaving. First item on the agenda this morning, Rachelle Howe, Upper Explorer Land with a funding request. Good morning, Rachelle.
Good morning. I laugh, you have the option to leave.
I have to say that.
I'd like to say that in a lot of, yeah. Well, thank you for putting me on the agenda this morning. And I am here to give an update for Upper Explorer Land Regional Planning Commission's work and also provide you with a letter for, and you have a copy as well. Ben, would you like another copy or did you receive?
Got it. Thank you.
Good, good. Well, sometimes they get lost, so I like to bring a copy along, but okay. I'll give it to you at the end if that's fair. At the August board meeting, the board did approve an increase, a smaller increase this year than we normally do, but we felt that we were in a good financial situation for right now, even though with the shutdown. So your annual dues will be at 19,668. And then if you look further down the letter, if you have a copy of the letter, the EDA planning is still at $3,800. EDA has been appropriated for, instead of 70,000, they've been appropriated for 200,000, but that's not
Thank you.
come
I think.
through fruition yet, because where do they get the money from? Which is nice, but they're kind of working on the local match of that, so we would not have to match a 50-50 match. Now on that 3,800, that's still not 50-50. We need to, we receive 51,000 of that match coming from economic developers across the region in kind. So your 3,800 times, 5 for the other counties is what we provide with cash match. And then the DOT dues roughly for 26, they were $6,400. We don't know with that or safe routes to school quite yet. Usually they don't tell us that till February, March, but 6,400 there, and then safe routes to schools preliminary budget is about 4,700. So we'll keep you posted on those. But thank you for being a partner with us and matching with those grants, and then providing us the membership dues as well. Those membership dues are utilized to match other grants within the region. In our 26 budget, our 26 income, we received, $10 million. So if you want to add that up and then divide it by 10 million, that would give you your return on investment. So, I would like to assume that you would think that that's a wonderful investment for our region. This year, as you know, the long range planning transportation plan was completed. Your hazard mitigation plan is almost completed. And then I'm going to read this one because this one is new to me. Aaron was explaining to me, but regional transportation safety planning. There is a multi-region safe streets and roads for all safety action plan that we're in partnership with 2 other COGs across the state. And once that's complete, the regional plan will position cities to apply for SS4A. And maybe knew this from your transportation meetings. But I think that that's gives us a strong competitive edge to have that plan done. And I'm excited that we have that because, as you know, cities are fighting for some of the same dollars that you are for roads and streets. So, yeah, a lot of our work has been done. And I think Chris Trundle has been here already to talk about the trust fund dollars. But there's been 107 homes rehabbed in the region, and that's just unheard of. Our region did receive 2 rounds of a pilot project funding from Iowa Finance Authority that kind of bumped those numbers up. Normally the Housing Trust Fund program does about 42 homes a year, but those funds were able to really bump us up. And when the state came out with the original pilot project, it's all online. It's for residents to go online. And right away, I'm like, that's never gonna happen. We're not doing, we have to do it that way, but we are going to have those people come in and we are gonna help them with the online system. Because, I mean, if it's tough for us, it's tough for all, right? So I think I know that's why we received a second round, because we were able to utilize the funds in a quick manner and then capture a second round of that. And then we did have a first-time home buyer program. Now next year, or this year, we already have another first-time home buyer program with 15 homes. Last year it was 6 homes. So I'm hoping to kind of keep that momentum going with rehab. I think I've said it before, when we started the rehab program in 2009, I thought, we'll be done with windows, doors, electrical, 10 years. We'll get that done. No, we're still doing those, still working on those. So that it's a wonderful program to have. Those programs are wonderful to have. And then we did apply for Federal Home Loan Bank, 29 homes, veterans, elderly and disabled folks. I hate to say before I know that I'm awarded, but wink, wink. They have a lot of questions for us. And when they have a lot of questions about our application,
Good sign.
I think we're getting, it's a good sign. Very good sign.
Do you
So,
want to explain what the COG stands for and how you're organized so
Sure.
everyone can understand?
absolutely. So the state divided our regions up in the late 60s. We developed in 1972. So we've been around for over 50 years. And the mission, the reason they divided us up was to be an extension of city and county government. And to have that lesser duplicate services, just what the government is kind of talking about reducing duplications. This is what we were intended to do. So we assist cities and counties, called a council of government. We are made up of the 5 counties in Northeast Iowa: Elmwood, Fayette, Winneshiek, Howard, and Clayton. So we do delve into Delaware County a little bit with our economic development work. So we're covering economic development, planning efforts, housing efforts, and then we have a financial end that does assist nonprofits. We actually assist Frankville and Borough with their sewer, water. Yeah, so, and don't take that away from Ashley, because those people love her. They do not want to hand the check to me. No, we'd like to see Ashley. So, we are kind of a chameleon. Wherever the needs are of that city or county is where we probably need to be putting our efforts. We have a very dedicated and experienced and educated staff for planning and finance and economic development that have been there they're tenured staff and are very passionate about the work that they do within the region. So it's fun. It's a good job. It's ever changing. So, thank you, Ben.
So our contribution ask will go up by $2,200 roughly.
Right. Yeah.
Rachel, what would you say what would you guess is the median home price that you're able to get first-time buyers into?
Yeah, and it kind of dictates with the first-time home buyer program is up to $32,000 down payment for folks. But it's dictated on their income and then the price of the home. But I would say we're about maybe 190.
Is that pretty similar for the veterans program?
No, the veterans program is only rehabilitation.
Oh, only.
Only rehabilitation, and that's up to $23,000 on rehabilitation, where our housing trust fund application does first-time home buyer and rehab, but that's only $12,500. And that's based on the income that we receive from the program itself.
So getting pretty hard to find $200,000 homes.
Right.
To put people in.
Right, but they're first-time home buyers too. So, but that also means if you have a widow or a widower or a divorcee, that can constitute for a first-time home buyer program too, even though you might have owned a home for 10 years, you're buying a new one since that major
These are life change.
Mhm, mhm. But 32,000 is fabulous. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
But that's the reason why folks can't afford to buy a home is because of the down payment. I mean, my son and his wife, they didn't have the program, but right now their home price is $600. Their per month, their monthly home price is $600 per rent, which our daughter lives not in the area, but she's paying $1,800 for rent.
Mhm.
You know, so it's amazing.
2,400 a month in Seattle.
Yeah, the 1,000, the bigger amount, the reason why it's a little bit higher is not coming from your membership. It's actually coming from, I should mention, from Safe Routes to School, because we're about
I saw that
doubling.
was 1,000.
We're about doubling that income this year. So.
Really, it's pretty minimal.
Right, we tried to make it minimal. We did have some difficulties with the shutdown and still are, to be honest. Especially with our housing choice voucher program. We do assist up to 498 families with rental assistance. Right now, we're assisting 408 families. The average rental payment that they're receiving is $324. So it's not the full. I think a lot of people think we're paying the entire rent. That's not true. And they need to pay $50, and they also need to pay their own water or their own utilities. But we did not get any money from them, from HUD for that. So we had to make a decision if we were going to pay November and now December's rental amounts, our agency. So I did have a nice conversation with the lone wolf left at HUD in Washington, DC. I finally got to him, and he was good. He was like, you will get paid back, I promise. Right. But when? So the when hasn't come yet, but I did not want to turn down 408 families rental payments. That would be atrocious to deal with. So, and for those families. So, yeah, we're hoping to be reimbursed soon. But if you're on our board, you know that we talked about, just so you know, with the building, we've been doing really well. Last year, we sided the building, and we did do some energy improvements with solar. And also this year, we did concrete the parking lot, which was big. And there is a building there that I didn't know we owned. Surprise, we do own it. And that is yet to be torn down this winter. So the same contractor who did the concrete will be tearing the building down, but he said, could I wait till a cold day? I said, that's fine.
Mhm.
So that is done as well. So that's nice. Any questions for me? As always, call me, Steve, you've been sending me some emails once in a while, and that's great. Just let me know where I can help, and any of you really, even you, Ben.
So Mark and I are both, Mark Bick and I are both on the board, and I think he'd agree, the staff down there is incredible. And their fingers are reaching in so many different projects in our region. We're very lucky to have them.
We have 70 to 90 projects going on at one time. And so if you have something going on in your community, let me know. And we might not do that work, but I probably know a source that does, that could help you in agency.
How large is your staff?
How what?
How large is your staff?
Oh, 15 of us. It's 15. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
A lot of work for 15
Yes.
days.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, the feds and the state didn't keep up with the administration costs, don't keep going up. So our folks have to just add another project, which is not very fun to tell them, but yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. Like with what I think is going to happen with the housing choice voucher system is that, and I'm appreciative of any updates to any program, and we can manage that. But I think what's gonna happen is we're going to be managing work hours for that, for those 408 families. And then we're gonna have to be the police of that. And then they're not gonna give us any more administrations. We're just gonna have to administer.
Mandates without the money.
I'm assuming, but we'll see. So. But yes, call me anytime. You know where to find me. And I did send Ben the list of folks to be reappointed, and I'm assuming you'll do that in January.
Probably even in December,
Okay.
mid-December.
Send me the minutes, make sure that and I sent you an email this or a text this morning about serving on the executive board again, but make sure when you have the executive board and the full board in the minutes, please, Ben.
Yep.
Thank you. Not for me, but for our auditor. We like to keep them, we like to keep them happy, right?
Yeah, but
Pretty tough.
when you need some good advice on how to manage cash flow, it's gonna take an auditor to be able to show you the tricks.
I know. We'll come to you, Ben. Yes, you have a good auditor, so that makes the county run very smoothly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachelle.
Thank you.
What do we all have for the consent agenda?
Minutes, claims, and VA report.
Take a few minutes to go through
Yeah,
claims
let's go through them. We got 3 minutes.
Anybody start one yet?
No, I don't believe so.
Is the courtroom lighting for the 4,423 second page, is that a one-time? Is it all new?
I think that was the improvements.
That's the improvements heading,
Yeah.
changing out the LED lights.
Okay,
All that's done. That's-
yeah, it's looking really nice.
And that nice cut card was Lisa Heights. She's the secretary to the district courts who works with the main chief judge. That's a very nice card from her.
That is nice.
Don't get thank yous very often.
Mostly you get the complaints. So you assume if you don't hear anything, that's positive. But to actually get a positive, that's good.
Lena lives right down in New Hampton. She's really on top of things, so. Did you have that 6,000? That's from that recycling the TVs and stuff back. $6,366 bill from FMC landfill.
Yes. Not TVs, that was hazardous.
Hasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't, that's the first time in about almost a year we sent off hazardous material.
We put on there in
Early in the year.
May.
Anyone like to take action on the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda, Jeff Kuboushek, our recycling supervisor, the truck purchase and part-time hire. Morning, Jeff. Good morning.
Morning.
All yours.
Well, we're in the market for a new truck. I got a couple of quotes there. One from Truck Country and the other one from Don's. Truck Country out of Decorah, Don's in Fairbank. What we are looking at is basically the same truck model that we have now, which is a Freightliner. These would be 2027 models. The only thing different basically from the ones that we have now to this one is the hoist assembly is a Galbraith. And what we have now is the Gal Fab. I haven't heard anything bad about the Galbraith. The Gal Fab, we could not, in the size that we have, they could not get an extendable tail. So when we go to pick up a dumpster, lift the hoist up and then that tail extends out, and they do not have that option unless you go with the bigger hoist. And we definitely don't need a bigger hoist. So then we went with the Galbraith, and both units were basically pretty much apples to apples. They both quoted Galbraith. And with the Freightliners, Truck Country did price M2. It's a little smaller truck, but we're kind of happy with what we have now. We'd like to stay with that. And really, I mean, the savings is just a couple $1,000. So it's not a big savings. The trade prices were very comparable. Truck Country had them beat by $2,000. I'm not used to these trade prices. Usually in the road department, you got $10,000. So
You drop a zero for sure.
it was nice to see that there was some value in something that we trade. And nothing against the road department, but it's a lot heavier loads, and so that was nice to see. The prices were respectable on both ends. We just had to put tires on. We put tires on one right now, and then we have to put tires on the other one also. They're both getting pretty bad, so we just got the one set on. But if there's no other questions, I would recommend that we go with Truck Country for the truck purchase. The only thing I'd have to get with Bobby on as far as warranty stuff, packages, but as far as the truck price, the difference you're looking at is about $9,300. And that's if it would be $11,000, but it'd be $9,300 if we traded. Either way, we're looking at $9,000 difference, so $9,300. So I recommend we go with Truck Country.
With the 108 SD then?
Yep. Yes,
And
and that's what we have now.
That's what we have now.
Yes. Yep.
You want to explain, besides the fact that we have planned for it in this year's budget, the reason why you chose to take and make this change now?
Yeah, we've been having some issues, and the miles are, we got about 180,000 miles, and Gordy, this would be for Gordy, he's our main truck driver. He drives every day of the week. And it's a 2020 model, so we put on probably 30,000, and we've been having some issues. And it is in the budget, so we thought, instead of going another year and then depreciate more, we thought with the price, we felt it's probably the best time.
And since you bought the original two the same time, you don't
That's-
wanna
Right,
have
yeah.
That's the
Right,
biggest
then
issue
that's-
right there.
two at a time all the
That's
time.
what I'm trying to get you to feed out, Jeff.
Yeah. It's Monday.
I know. See, we've had both of our trucks that we're using are both, Mark and I, of course, have worked closely with Jeff. But the two trucks we have are both the same year, so we're not into a maintenance rotation, and that's where we needed to go. So that was one of the main driving reasons.
Split it up a
to want
little
to do
bit, because the other one, I would say probably a couple years at the best, I would say, because that one, we don't put as many miles on instead of the main one, which, like I said, we're looking at 30,000 at least. And now with rural waste, we do put on a little bit more for miles also.
What warranty options are you?
Well,
leaning towards?
there's quite a few different options, so yeah, I need to sit with Bobby and see which one is most beneficial for us.
I think you should leave the dollar amount and warranty information out of the motion.
Just the purchase of the
Purchase.
Just the purchase of the truck.
I move to approve. We
Second.
go with the recommendation from Jeff for the truck from Truck Country.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second for the purchase of the 2027 Freightliner model SD Plus. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimous.
And the other item I have is for part-time help. I have a gentleman that was filled out the application that's interested for the on-call, on-demand. Basically, if we need a little help driving, he's retired from Donaldson's and looks like he was there for 40+ years. He lives right in town here. It'd be David Reichs is the one I'd like to just to have on our staff for if we need someone to fill in here and there.
What was the last name?
Reichs,
Right.
Reichs, Reich, R-E-I-C-K-S.
Oh, Reichs.
Yes. But he retired last year from Donaldson's.
And he's bored stiff.
He's a real job jumper, I see, so.
Yeah. And he's got experience with skid loader, some hand tools, forklift, and he's had CDL for 35 years, so he should fit right in. He should be a good asset.
Approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval for the on-call, on-demand driver, David Reichs. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Anything else, Jeff?
No, just trying to get through the week, short week, so we're kind of crunched for trying to push everything ahead. And we are gonna come in Friday for a few hours just to get some cardboard. We're gonna be officially closed, but just to come in and get cardboard bailed up from the 48 and from our drop. Otherwise, Monday will be,
Terrible.
a very good Monday.
You always get paid back for those days off.
Yeah, that's the bad thing with here when we haven't extended. It's nice, but the employees say holidays are nice, but if we're gone that long, it's really ugly. So we're gonna try to minimize how Monday will look. So we'll be in for a few hours on Friday morning, so.
Thank you
Okay.
for making recycling so efficient and run really well right now.
Yeah, it's going good. It's
And great changes.
hopefully the prices turn around a little bit. Cardboard keeps kind of dropping and
Yeah.
so. Inevitable, I guess, but hopefully it'll be hopefully it's about as low as it's gonna go. But
We could find a number 2 or number 5 recycler. That'd
Yeah.
be great.
we've been kind of discussing that, Evan and I have been, so. future, hopefully we can do something with
There was
that.
at one time of this, maybe you don't have time. The glass that you had somebody in like the Twin Cities, they weren't gonna pay you for it, but they'd come get it. Did that ever pan out or?
No,
No,
and we go to the landfill now with it probably once every 3 weeks. We get a little bit for it, but it's crazy how much glass that we do get. I mean, it's
And that's with people knowing it and up at the landfill anyway. If you had a
right,
recycling out for it, they would even recycle more.
yeah.
so Jeff, have people been responding to the plea that we put out there about awareness of lithium batteries?
Yeah, the article really helped, because a lot of them actually said, well, we didn't realize that, and we seen it in the paper. So
Good.
advertising does help quite a bit, because they had no idea about the danger
It's a
of them.
huge deal.
Yeah, so we got quite
And I
a few.
thank the newspaper for doing that public
Yeah.
service awareness campaign. That really
Yeah.
helps. People don't realize how dangerous that can be.
Don't matter if it's this big or.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that
That little.
that small one, like the size of a dime, would
Yeah.
have that much heat, but it does.
900 degrees instantly for.
So, but yeah, it's been good, because at least it tells you that people are. Yes, absolutely.
Your 10 o'clock is online.
Is that, just quickly, is that something that I would see it recommended to schools to try to teach? Because honestly, these kids throw batteries away constantly.
Yeah,
Not even letting parents know about it. And they're not gonna read an article, but if you guys
that's true.
can find a way to let the schools have a little session in home ec or whatever it might be, even the young ages. This is what these batteries are.
Yeah.
What happens if you throw them in here? Higher
Yeah.
education week probably should be doing that.
Good point. Thanks.
It's a really good idea.
That's a good idea. It's a lot easier to
Thank
teach a
you.
kid than it is
Some
people our age.
Yeah, pretty good about teaching.
They might have to be able to teach us.
The kids will, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, next item on the agenda. Help me out with the name.
See you later. Thank you.
Cyprus, Homerun Property Development.
Hi.
Chaim?
Yep.
Okay. DHS building proposal. It's all yours.
Hello. I'm coming in live virtually. Really nice to meet you. And yeah, I was previously in touch with Stephanie, but it took a bit longer than expected to get everything together. And then Stephanie mentioned to me that it's kind of taken back internal. Yeah, I would like to talk to you about the DHS building and, you know, a proposal that we've, you know, we have experience we've done previously. And the vision is to convert it into a residential location, you know, out of the existing building to convert it into, you know, about 10, 12 apartment units. And then, you know, since the lot is quite large with a possibility of, you know, further development on the lot to make it, you know, a vibrant, you know, residential location. And, you know, we think it will be a win-win for everyone since, you know, there is a shortage for residential, you know, quality. So we really think it can, you know, be a benefit to supply that. We actually did not too long ago down the street in Kelmer, 402 North Maryville. We took that, the Luhar, and we converted it into 6 residential units, a bit larger units, but 6 of them. And, you know, it's rented out, and it's, you know, I think it's a really great location. We still have some things to do here and there, but, you know, from a previously vacant location, and now it's, you know, really up and running. So we really feel like we can do, you know, something very similar over here. And yeah, that's our proposal.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
They have a copy of your proposal, and like I mentioned when we talked on the phone, at this time, I think they're still looking at internal uses, but they'll have that if they decide to pursue options again.
One question, have you checked with the county sanitarian to find out what the septic requirements would be for that volume of residents?
In regards to updating,
Yes.
yeah, so part of it is, you know, we listed off a you know, bunch of larger upgrades that would be required in this project. So one of those is upgrading the well and the septic for the, you know, updated larger, you know, use of it. So yeah, that is part of the project, and it is much of a larger project than, you know, a similar use for the building, like an office or something, because yeah, it requires a lot of you know, say updating or, you know, transitions, and that's a good example of one of them, to, you know, really bring it up to the capacity. So that's one of the, you know, requirements that we have, you know, planned for that.
All right. Thank you. And we'll
I had a question about that. What basic rent are you looking at? Like, what do you charge for the Maryville project in Kelmer? What are the rent fees?
It really depends on the location, on the size. So we're not really that far into it. So it will really be hard to say, you know, what that rent would be at this point.
So what are you getting for the ones in Kelmer?
The ones in Kelmer are quite larger units as well. So it really varies on what we end up, you know, the size wise: 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, the square footage of the unit, the finishes of the unit. But we have 2 to 4 bedrooms in Kelmer, and they are going for, if I'm not mistaken, from $750. And that's most of the utilities are included as well. So.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, we'll notify you when we decide what we're going to do with the building.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Any committee reports?
I've got community action tonight, so I'll report on that when we're gathered again Monday.
I have an early childhood meeting today.
Got as many budgets as you want to go through too, if you need to fill time.
Jack of them.
Let's go for it. You pick which one you want, Ben.
I have them in department numerical order. So department 1 is Board of Supervisors. So if you find that one, it's in the top left corner, 01 Board of Supervisors.
Any changes there?
No, this one I left the same. Basically, most of it is salary stuff, which isn't decided yet. So then there's some the money for making our publications and some mileage and meal reimbursements for you guys. But that one's the same otherwise. All the non-salary numbers are the same.
Probably really ought to look hard at number 2.
Okay, I'll go to the next one. Number 2 is the auditor budget. This is for my department. You look at this top left, auditor. This one, the first page and on top of the second page is all the election related things. So in the current year, we have the city school election and we have the primary election in June. So next year we'll have the general election with the gubernatorial election. So it kind of fluctuates back and forth where those expenses are going to fall. So there's a few of the election related things that are higher because the general election costs more than the primary does. So some of those things are up, but you can see in the history that they go up and down depending on which election cycle we're in. In the middle of the second page, it shows the local elections. So those show nothing for next year. So if there aren't any special elections, we wouldn't have any city or school elections in the next FY27. But when we do have those, you'll see in the revenue page, there's a offsetting revenue because we do bill the cities and schools for those elections. So they show up in the budget, but they don't actually affect the bottom line of the budget.
Your midterm elections versus your presidential.
Yeah, that's different too. Yep. So middle of the second page is where it starts the non-election operations in my office. Those first few lines are the salary lines. I will note that we put half of my salary and half of Lori, because she's the election deputy, are in the elections budget. We did that, started last year or for the current year, last budget cycle, because elections are paid out of the supplemental fund and our regular operations are paid out of the general fund. So that helps relieve some of the pressure on the general fund. In my just regular office budget, everything is either the same or down a little bit. I took a little bit of money out of for mileage and meals. I don't go to quite as many trainings as I used to because I feel like I'm on top of a lot of things, but I still go to some. So.
You could teach them.
Yeah, that's right. Good news is a lot of times if I'm a presenter, then I'll get my mileage meals paid by ISAC or the Auditors Association or something to I'm presenting. So that helps the county end of it. So yeah, so nothing really changed there otherwise. And then on the revenue side, you see that top one is the local elections. So city and school elections, you see there was revenue this year to offset those costs, but there wouldn't be anything next year because of the cycle. Let me go through one more here quick for you next before Sean's up. Next one I have is medical examiner, Department 28. That one I just left all those numbers the same. Sometimes it's more, there's more budget in there than we need, but since we don't have any control over that, when we have one that has to go for an autopsy or something, we keep the money in there just in case. There have been years we've been pushing that amount too. So on the back is a little bit of revenue. That's if we do our medical examiner investigate something, but then it's another county resident. So then we bill the county. So we do get some money back on those.
Yeah, kind of hippie with you. About all I can see is you could cut maybe 5,000 out of it. If you look at just overall expenditures, then you're putting it pretty close.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not like we would spend it if we don't need it. So we just deal with it. So. Well, there's a couple checked off.
All right.
School time.
Back on schedule from 15, Sean Snyder, our emergency management coordinator.
Good morning, supervisors. Thank you all for your time this morning. And I'd be remiss if I didn't do my customary public thank you to Ben for all this hard work and assisting me. I promise you every square inch of these budgets have been asked 46 different ways to have Ben look at it. So thank you for that. We have a saying in emergency management, a happy auditor, a happy life. So I like to keep it that way.
Well, Don will be looking at the two that are, it's 70 joint disaster services and 78 E911. So they've got a big stack in front of them, so I'm helping them find.
Perfect.
Right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Right papers.
Let's look at 70 first. That's the emergency management piece. So there's a few things I want to hopefully give you guys the best Christmas present you've had. I'm gonna first of all, I'm going to give you back about $850,000 of your budget. So from last year to this year because of the you guys working with us, and we paid off the 911 tower project early. So thank you for all your hard work on that.
Thank you.
There's a couple of capital improvement projects, line items that I carry in the budget every year. And again, I work with Ben, and we just compound that annually on about a 5-year cycle. And then I will put in that expense and pay that out. So one example would be the 372-70-661. It's a multi-jurisdictional, multi-hazard mitigation plan that was just approved by FEMA this year, right before the shutdown. So that worked out pretty well. So that'll be due again in 5 years. So just so you know that you'll see that dollar amount compound every year.
So he basically puts 3,000 each year away so that when it comes due again, we aren't trying to come up with all of it at once.
Yeah, it's been my goal in my time here. I'm not talking bad about previous people or anything, but I really want to work with you guys so you know that there's a big expense coming. So I don't have to come to you that year and be like, oh, I need to up my budget by X. And then that's just hard for everybody to plan for. That's an example. Obviously, a vehicle that I drive every 5 or 6, 7 years, that works out that way as well. Tort liability, equipment insurance, those type of things. It's anyone's guess right now. So I upped the budget 25% for each. I'm probably high on that side, but I'd rather be high than be low. So we'll know more. The good thing that's good for you guys with emergency management, I'm usually the first one to the trough. I have to have my budget certified by February 28th. Usually this year I have till the 2nd of March because 28th is on a Saturday, I believe. But a lot of times I don't know what a lot of these costs are that then gets notified until after my budget's done. So a lot of times it's a guess. So I may guess a little high, but I'd rather err on the side of caution. Another line I want to point out to is 497-70-729. So that was something I worked with the commission on. We ended up shutting off 2 of our USGS river gauges. One in Lime Springs that we've been paying for forever. That's in Howard County, and then one in Kendallville. But we were able to replace it with a very similar asset through the Iowa Flood Center. So it was a one-time cost, and we were able to reduce the budget $10,000 moving forward. Those USGS river gauges are very nice. They do a lot of nice things, but every year their prices are getting higher and higher and higher. With the Iowa Flood Center, I can get similar data to the emergency responders of the county, and it's a one-time fee. There's not the annual costs that go along with it.
We're done paying rent from that tower up at.
That's correct. Yep, that'll be in the 911 piece.
That 911, yeah.
Yep.
Done with that one.
Any questions about the emergency management piece of things? I'm happy to try to answer any questions about that.
And they put away this regionalization for right now.
No, to my knowledge, they haven't, but session hasn't started yet. So I'll keep you guys in the loop once session starts in January. What she's referring to is there's possibility of, through the DOJ report, there's possibility of regionalization or consolidation of emergency management across the state. Right now, it's anybody's guess. Once session starts, we'll see what kind of bills drop. I think they're going to be busy with property taxation and everything, a lot of bigger things than emergency management, but.
I thought I had read somewhere, and I don't remember where I read that probably will not be something they do
Good.
this year.
That warms my heart to hear that.
Yeah.
But, we'll find
I wish
out.
I could remember where I read it.
I think the one thing more concerning is the discussion that may not occur this year, but next year over volunteer fire departments and the impact that could have.
Yeah.
Level is huge.
I think this perfect segue into 78's budget. Ben,
I have
if you have
one comment on the back page of the 70 budget. If you, like Sean mentioned, he certifies his budget separately, so none of these numbers show up in your budget, except at the top line on the back page that he's showing as a revenue, that's the comes out of your budget as an expense to his budget. And that's where you can see that 840 or whatever thousand reduction.
Good point.
Just so you could see where that is in there.
So to segue to budget 78, unless someone had any final questions on the emergency management piece. So what Steve was talking about is there's a fire study that's a statewide fire study that is being conducted. It's being conducted by the four largest paid fire services in Iowa. So 4 largest paid fire services in Iowa are running this study on volunteer fire departments, paid services, everything. That service or that study is due June 30th. So it'll make it through session this year without any major things, but session a year from January, who knows where that'll go. They're looking at, it's a holistic study. They're looking at everything from response times to how many volunteers there are, costs associated to the fire departments, and you name it. So I believe they're even looking at fire trustees and all of that. So a year from this session could be interesting on the fire side of things.
Am I correct in understanding the study is being done by the 4 largest paid fire departments? And what is the representation of any of the volunteer and county entities themselves?
Well, so there's a committee that's with these fire departments that are working with them. Like the Iowa Emergency Management Association is represented, the Iowa Firefighter Association is represented, you know, so there's people representing all these agencies, but the people that are tasked with pulling the data are the 4 largest paid fire services. So
Has the appearance of a stacked deck.
I'm very concerned that they're going to remember, let's say, Frankville Volunteer Fire Department up here in Northeast Iowa. So that's Sean's concern. So real quickly about 911, again, kind of same thing with insurance costs. I upped that 25%. One line item I want to point out, 481-78130. So that's new this year. That was our friends at the state said all 911 dispatch centers shall fund the shared services that the state offers. We do not partake in the shared services, but I'm going to start paying for the shared services. So that was nice of the state. That's just under $26,000 annual expense that they're going to start sending me. Then if you flip over 724 and 725, that'd be the 653 numbers. So I'm hoping to work with the 911 board. I'd love to, one thing the 911 board has really been lacking is having a 3 to 5 year plan. And I really would love to do a capital improvement plan for them so that when we come back to you guys, you know, in a few years and say we need X amount of millions of dollars for updating systems, I'm hoping that we can do a better job of saying we have X amount squirreled away to help offset your guys' overall budget. Right now, I haven't been able to do that. I'm not knocking the 911 board, but it's just, there's not a lot of extra money to do these projects. Yeah, Ben knows this better than I do. So I had Ben add those lines. I'm just hoping in the future we can start using them, but I just want you guys to be aware. And finally, speaking of 911, this is probably maybe the doom and gloom side of things a little bit, but so this coming budget, there's going to be about 546,000 and change in total expenses versus the revenue of about 351,302. So to do the math, we're 195,000 in the hole, so to speak. So I'm pulling that obviously from the carryover balance. The projected carryover balance is about 652,000. So that's a lot of money to you and I, right? But to a 911 system that it takes hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep it running, that's just not a lot of money. This year, there's an additional big expense because every 5 years, the 911 center has to do a radio upgrade. That's to the tune of about $70,000. So I threw that in this coming budget. So if you take that 70,000, let's say that's every 5 years off the 195, that's still 100 to 120,000 every year that I'm dipping into the surcharge carryover. So if you do the math,
deficit spending.
Deficit spending,
Yeah.
perfect. See, he's like now. So 4 years-ish,
And then it's zeroed out.
I'm coming back to you guys crying and trying to figure out how we're gonna keep it afloat. That's assuming nothing changes with the surcharge matrix. There is a potential bill that our friends with APCO NINA, they're kind of the driving force in the state of Iowa for anything 911. They tried last year, didn't get it across the finish line. Our legislative friends looked at it as a new tax on people, so they shot it down. Last year, we were wanting to increase the dollar surcharge by 25 cents, I believe, and that was shot down. This year, they're looking at doing more of kind of following along the lines of like a percentage increase, kind of like a COLA kind of thing is what they're looking at doing. I wished them well. I just don't know how well it's going to be perceived.
And that's on the cell phone charge. It's
And
on
landline
everyone's-
surcharge.
Both
Yep.
of them, but it's on the
Both,
bill of what's construed as a tax.
Correct.
Is what's on the cell phone. It's not like property tax. It's trying to
Correct.
pay for this service,
Right.
which we run out of money on in 4 years.
I have talked to Ben about some ideas. Ben's got some great ideas that we may have to look at doing, but I'll keep you guys in the loop over the next couple of years if we have to go that route, but hopefully not.
On 421.
Yeah. On the 78 budget, or
Yeah. See, that's at 190,000.
that's correct. Yep.
2 years ago, we were at 85 used.
Yep. So 2 years ago, we were still operating off of Stason Gross's budget. So what I did is I worked with Ben and we totally revamped. If you looked at Stason's budget, there was only about 4 or 5 line items. And then I broke it out further. So basically I combined a lot of line items into that line item. So that number could be a little misleading because I grouped a bunch together. Plus, remember, that's where that additional 70,000 landed this year as well for that 5-year cost.
I appreciate your long-term planning.
Long term might be 4 years, I guess, but we're trying.
Oh, you're doing it.
And that 26,000 on that 481, that's a mandate.
Yeah, that's I believe you guys' unfunded mandate is the catch term we all like
We
to
do not
use.
use
Yeah,
that.
we don't use that term, so.
No, we don't use.
We don't use that service, but we have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's what you're
We
saying.
don't use
Yeah,
that
yeah.
service.
26,000.
Yeah, it's just under that. I rounded up. It was 25 and change, but
That was their attempt to try to make it that the counties didn't go on their own. We're gonna put this statewide thing in, but it maybe doesn't work in your county, but we want you to pay for it anyway.
yeah. Yeah, they're running out of money, so that was their fix to take it from everyone else. But when I run out of money, I don't know who I call, so.
We have that same.
Yeah.
problem.
Back to the 911 page.
Yeah.
Um,
Is there a certain page you're looking
You
at?
mean
the budget,
the emergency management? Or was that
70
what?
78 or 70.
Top left there.
What
So,
number?
78,
okay.
sorry,
Yep, no worries.
78. This might be a real naive question, but is this something we can discuss when we look at the supplemental rate?
You cannot use property tax. It's illegal to use property tax to fund operations of 911.
Okay.
You can use to make the infrastructure improvements. So that's why you were paid to use the supplemental to do the towers.
You can't do it for operation.
Cannot do it for operations. And you can also see in there's a 56,000 or whatever that is, 56,302.
Very last line.
The last line, that's actually money that's also paying for towers. The first part of the tower project is getting funneled through emergency management because it's a tower project. That one, we don't have any interest in paying off early because it's a really low interest rate.
Yeah.
So there's no use to try to pay that one off early. So we just make the annual payment through emergency management to pay those that other tower does.
That's the one up by the John Deere store.
That's
there.
correct.
Yeah, but we can't, on the operation standpoint, they've got to come up with more money, otherwise and we aren't gonna be the only county, and everyone knows that, but they can't seem to agree with how they're gonna fix it yet.
Yeah, 100, you said it perfectly. The landlines are decreasing every year. You know, just people are getting rid of them. So that dollar comes directly to us. So that's reducing, and then there's $1 assessed to every wireless phone. And that's, you know, that's been the issue. We just gotta try to get those surcharge dollar amounts up, but it just
Yeah,
hasn't.
the problem with the wireless money is that the landline money used to come straight to the county, whereas the wireless money goes to a pool in the state. They take a chunk of it out and then they divide it up back to the county, so we aren't getting as much per.
Yeah, we get 60 cents roughly of that dollar.
And the state-
I'm
and the state
surprised
gets
we get
40.
that.
Well, that was, they have talked about adjusting that matrix as well. I'm sure it'll benefit us. So,
Yeah, you may not want them to open that can,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it might go down.
Yeah.
That's all we're taking?
Yeah, that'll be a great Monday morning email someday that I'll get, so. Any questions? I'm happy to try to answer any final thoughts, so.
Sean.
Thank you for your time, I appreciate it. Have a good Monday.
Good Thanksgiving.
Got 3 minutes, you wanna hit another?
Sure.
I got 31, it's district court. This one you can see, the first 3 lines in this budget are about a third of the utility costs of the courthouse. So that was an idea we took away at one of the joint supervisors and auditors session in Des Moines this last time, is that some counties are helping pay for their courthouse budget using the district court portion of the budget, because that can be paid out of supplemental. So this would be another way to get some money out of the general fund.
Good idea.
So these were easier ones. I mean, in the long term, you know, if we want to start thinking about, you know, if we decide to do replace some windows, or we need to do some major plumbing or electrical upgrade, then we really want to think about, do we put a third of it into the district court budget? So that we can, because they have, of the 3 floor, they have for the third floor, so. It's a good way to kind of move some expenses around. Doesn't save us any money total, but it saves the pressure on the general fund by getting it in the supplemental fund.
It makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
It might even be, as we long-term plan, you know, John Halverson may retire in the next year or two. When we hire someone else, we may want to think about, do we
Share the way.
share at the wages a little bit too, and to try but we'll address those things as they come up. This was the one thing that was easy this year, is to put those in there. Otherwise, I didn't make any changes to this budget. A lot of them are just little dollar amounts that are placeholders. We haven't had to do grand jury for several years. If we ever have to do one, there's some placeholders in there. It'll probably end up being a budget amendment, because those dollars are too small that they make a difference. And then on the back is revenue that we get a little share, like $1 per ticket or whatever it is that the county gets for fines. One more really quick, juvenile justice, Department 36. I didn't make any changes on that one. This one, 10, 15 years ago, the big thing, we used to rent an office to run the juvenile justice department, and now it's in the courthouse, so that saved a significant amount of money. Most of these, we don't tap into too much, but then we do have, when we have residents that are placed in juvenile treatment facility, that's where we spend most of the money in this.
What has given us such a 230% increase over 5 years? You go from $48,000 budget to $112,000 budget.
No, that's not the year on the.
Only 52.
36. I haven't got the 52 yet.
52.
Yeah, we'll come back to that one and what after your next. agenda.
23, 24.
All right, next item on the agenda, miscellaneous, and the only item on there is action or support for ISAC.
And
Surely put that together, and she can,
Andy put together a little letter of support. I have it both, that's just a letter or a letter and a pledge with a blank. So you can decide which way you want to do it, if you want to pledge money or not, and how much.
I heard back from one of the landowners that's kind of running the show on this. She's got 44 counties, 46 if you count the two in the Amicus brief suit itself, but 44 counties that are not involved in the lawsuit that are supporting this, most of them with a pledge. The pledges are anything from $200 up to $500. 2 to 3 counties have pledged $1,000. We can also just send a letter. So it's, consensus around the table. Do we want to just send a letter of support? Do we want to do 200, 500, 1,000? That's the question in front of us today.
guess I'm in support of the letter.
I'm in favor of a little bit of financial support, a little skin in the game, just like the city wanted us to put some skin in the game to get their big grant.
Says nearly all of those who supported also pledged the $500 amount donation. And 2 counties voted no, but may reconsider later. And here's the email that was sent to me if you want it for records or not, Ben.
I can.
I would be in favor of doing some level of financial support. And I think the 200 at least, or maybe 250. I think we need to have some level of support in there, other than the letter, in addition to the letter.
And to recap, this is all about us showing support with the other 44 counties so far for local control, county control, where we can keep it. It originates out of a pipeline project that's running through, and it's right.
Biggest issue is the loss of Homerun, continued erosion.
That's
of
the
our
bigger
home rule issue is
picture.
the big thing about it.
I would support, Mark, was that a motion?
We'd have to settle on a dollar amount, I think, if we're going to do.
I'd go with the $200
That motion, Mr. Vic?
I make a motion for
I'll second.
$200 support with the
I'll
letter.
second.
We have a motion and a second for $200 and a letter of support.
For the amicus brief.
The amicus brief. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, one with the dollar amount. Oh. It's close enough, Mike. Michael Kueny, our county engineer with road project updates. Good morning, Mike.
This master paper was mostly filled up in the airplane and we got the.
Yes.
It's so good.
Good, it's worthwhile.
It's important.
Yeah. Go through this report and now a couple of things not on the list to talk about. Build grant, there's nothing new this week.
a regular flat car bridge study, we'll expect results here shortly, in December sometime. Subdivision data gathered, there's nothing new this week. Quarry Hill, did receive, an agreement, draft agreement from county attorney. The county attorney's draft agreement, needs more work, and I'll be in touch with him on that. Nesty Valley construction is finished. Just talked to conservation and no further action is going to be done out there, so I will file the notice of discontinuation this week. Bridge 208E is open. We opened it up, what was it? Wednesday of last week. Just clean up some erosion control odds and ends are left out there, porta potty, that out of the way. Things like that is all that's left. And then
That went right along pretty good.
it did. There was a order of operations of painting and the tarring, but that's nothing big there. 126, bridge 126 NEPA clearances have been completed and it will likely be let in January. One thing I did not put in here, bridge 307 should be ready for letting. We just got notified that this morning. Secondary roads is looking for a new sign man. 9 applications have been received. Interviews for 2 candidates will be on Wednesday. This week, yes. Wednesday morning. Bridge inspectors were here last week. They were doing the box culverts, and their reports will be back. This is the every 5 years for non-20-foot structures. Dusty Road 60-inch reinforced concrete pipe was installed last week. They got some shoulder backfill and superintendent called it wing wall finish work to do today, and that could be done already as we speak. And then we had a safety meeting for chainsaw safety on Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. The steel rep presented for 2.5 hours. That is the report for the written report. A couple of non-written things. I think the first thing will be perhaps next week's meeting. I'd like to get in front of the board resolutions for right-of-way vacation. I'm supposed to say the people's names here. Tell you.
That's fine.
Steve Mack and Kara Headington. I have a draft of the Kara Headington. It's a little bit complicated as to what's going on there. The short explanation is we have county land next to Canoe Creek that isn't being used. The idea was to vacate the whole thing. I said maybe in the future. What we want to do is use that for stream mitigation if the Army Corps of Engineers ever lets us do localized mitigation projects, similar to what we kind of agreed to on 126. So I wanted to keep some of that right of way for projects such as that and access to that. That's in this resolution, but otherwise we aren't using the area, and the way that the property is lined up, they can't put a shed where they want to put it, and we're not really using it with all of the things going on. So I wanted.
Local fishermen use that for access, that area?
As far as that has not been brought up. So
An important distinction is that we don't own the land. We just own a
Right.
right-of-way easement.
Correct.
So we aren't getting rid of any land. We're just turning that right-of-way back.
Correct. And
It will go back on the tax roll too. That's pretty important.
yeah, and the way it works is, or the way it worked was, it was actually somebody else's land. There was a private agreement where the landowner bought that private private land that had the right of way easement on it. So it's kind of an ordeal. I'd be happy to talk with anybody one-on-one with this, but I don't know that, this venue is the right place to talk about the intricacies of it, but more than happy to talk to any of you about it. I want to bring it up at the meeting so that way we could have a one-on-one discussion if you have concerns about it. In a similar vein, Steve.
I would think, and you'll have to go back and look at another one we've done, but I think, do we have to have a public hearing or just?
We do have to have a public hearing.
So next week, all we're doing is scheduling a public hearing.
Correct. And it would be a similar process for the Steve Mack situation. That's a property up in Burr Oak. It's at a dead end. The right of way has been used for years by the landowner. I talked to the guys that plow. It's not, we wouldn't be getting any benefit out of this. The agreement was basically, if I don't like to just give away right of way, but there's an adjacent property owner that's the brother-in-law. So a trust is being formed so that if the trust buys that nearby property, that adjacent property, that they would tear down the obstructions in the right of way. And so that agreement has been worked out. It's taken over a year to kind of hash out.
And then we set it, and we, on these paths, we set the public hearing. And sometimes nothing happens and we just get rid of the right of way. There was one in Bluffton where we set a public hearing and the owner, I mean, we ended up with their attorney here and so on and so forth. And we didn't give the right of way away, but that's because we didn't know the whole story until we had the public hearing. So there's really no reason not to at least set the public hearings and see if there's something else going on. Because not only do you publish that you're having a public hearing, they notify the adjacent landowners too, and that's where we find out if there's something else that we don't know about.
Yeah, I can't say that I've talked to every adjacent landowner, but I mean, in these two instances, every landowner that we have talked to is on board. So
well, that makes things go a little smoother.
yes, and in fact, they had the way the whole process worked. They all had to be. So both of these were a lot of work by the county surveyor and county attorney on both of these. So
notices will be sent out.
Notices, yes.
Once
We
the
will,
public hearing
once
is set.
the public hearing is set, I'll work with Ben to make sure that the landowners here will be available on said dates. But those are two things that are going on that I wanted to make you aware of.
So we'll just plan that we'll next Monday set those public hearings, but I'll be putting out the agenda tomorrow because we're closed on Thursday, Friday, so it has to be 2 days earlier. So I'll assume we're gonna set those public hearings unless you tell me otherwise.
Correct. I'll have to reach out to Kara and Steve, respectively, to see if they can be here on Monday.
They don't need to be here Monday because all we're doing Monday is set the
Just set
public
it.
hearing.
Okay.
So then it will be, 3 weeks from then or whenever it is.
Sure.
That you want to make sure they're available. If we have to put it off till January because they're busy, we can.
All right.
That would be the thing to know by Monday is what day do we want to hold the public hearing?
Perfect. Thank you. I just didn't want them to not be able to represent
Right.
themselves. So, those two things have happened. There's two other things I want to talk about. It's Twin Springs and this bridge rating stuff that I've been spending a lot of time on the last couple of weeks. Twin Springs, this is all still pie in the sky. Twin Springs has washed out numerous times since 2008. And I'm trying to work with FEMA, DNR, Fish and Game Administration on a more permanent improvement that will not erode away. I have not spoken with the Parks Department about this project in particular. I talked with the DNR and they said that that's who I should be talking to with the city of Decorah on all of this. So there's been a project has been set up, internally, some property information, some topo has all been done to get started on all of this. But
Just, may I
Go ahead.
interrupt? Just so everyone knows, the park itself is a city park. We're talking about a bridge on the entrance road, and this bridge sits in the county's right of way, at least mostly.
yes,
And so it's actually our bridge on that driveway into the park. And we have established in the past, by resolution, the board has established that structures that are at least partially in the county's right of way are our responsibility. So that's why we're involved in this, even though it's their park.
this is why we are potentially involved,
Yeah.
why I'm involving myself. Just so we're clear, the boundary, we're doing the research on the boundary and getting trying to figure out typical right of way width. None of the information is clear that it is ours because the meets and bounds don't go through. Anyways, it's a big mess is what it comes out to be, and I'm trying to iron that out. And that the last 3 weeks has taken a lot of my time on that. So you're seeing a lot of stuff not get done maybe on this, but there is things going on.
I don't think we're pointing fingers.
I know, but I always feel obligated to tell you what's going on. So
Did we do some repairs on that bridge several years ago?
that we did do some repairs. It was not clear at the time that it was our bridge to do that. Lee, when he, in his capacity as engineer and with that resolution that was passed in 2007, felt the obligation that somebody had to do it because nobody was doing anything on it. And so as a way to prevent liability, he said, we need to do something about this, and we ended up doing something that further lends itself to making it more of an obligation for us rather than someone else at this point. But we're gonna draft 28 E's and all kinds of things to put it in writing when all of this is said and done.
Did I understand you that there's a question whether or not the meets and bounds really causes that bridge to fall within the county right away? Is that still up in the air, or is that
They're
determined?
researching.
Yeah, we're researching it. So the original, I might mess this up a little bit, but basically the road was outlined in the 1800s. It was outlined with a 50-foot, and then at some point in time, a 50-foot right of way was established. And then if you drove the road, there'd be no curves in the road. And so the 1930s, the 1910s and the 1930s, they have a right of way written out in meets and bounds and some property. It's not right of way, it's private property with meets and bounds that establishes curves, but it doesn't dedicate right of way to county in any way, shape, or form. So like I said, it's a little bit complicated and it's not stuff that I speak well on here, but it's gonna try to get it right and make sure that going forward there's a typical method of action for all of these bridges. But the short answer is that bridge looks like we'll be taking it over. And that's consistent with my discussions with the county attorney. It's consistent with my discussions with Lee at the intentions. It's just consistent with a protocol across the board. It's just everything special. It's a park. there's sovereign land rights because it's a park, if our right, anyway, dedicating right of way, it's kind of a legal mess.
So Beacon shows it owned by Iowa State Fish and Game.
Yep,
Would there be chances of the state? I know it's dreaming again.
That's another unfunded mandate, surely.
they, and I can't remember the year that they went and redid the beams on that bridge, but there was something in the recent 2010s. 2017 is what
It
comes
was,
to mind.
I remember it, so,
So that was all done by the county,
yeah.
at which point the
You were
county
probably
has,
on the Park
takes,
and Rec- City Park and Rec Board when it happened.
Maybe.
That's
I'm trying
why
to
you're
remember if
remembering it.
For the other board, but I remember it being done by the county.
so, and so, there's that portion of it, and then another portion of this potential project is reducing, well, reinforcing the channel, because the channel is what eats away the road. And that has really nothing to do with property. But it's just become it's a ongoing problem, and we have to establish where we can put the channel. We have to know where the boundary is. We're trying to, my next steps would be to talk to the NRCS now that the government shutdown's no longer in effect. We can talk to the NRCS more fluidly about the situation. And I've talked to Sean Snyder about getting a FEMA grant to reinforce all of this. So all of that's been in play for the last, I'll say, 3 weeks. Just trying to figure out how to make that, keep that level of service that's out there. It's a nice area. I think it's in the county's interest to keep that area nice. And if we can get federal funds for this, that would be great. And NRCS and Parks Department oftentimes get donations, so we might even be able to get citizens. The idea is we might be reaching out to citizens to help fund this too.
Would there be a possibility of development and tourism on this one?
That's I don't know. I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you have any help on that, I'm more than willing to take it. But I just didn't want to talk about this, 3 weeks ago, because it was still even more pie in the sky than it is even now. But I wanted to let everybody know about this, that this is going on. And then
If I sum it up, if I may.
yes,
To sum it up is that we're still researching exactly where the right of way is, but likely this bridge is our responsibility. But Michael is going to keep researching funding mechanisms to help get it fixed up. And that when we do that, we'll make sure we have in writing documents that say who's going to do stuff in the future.
yeah. What I'm so that bridge is actually in good shape. So the bridge was just a small part of it. All the drainage improvements around there are in bad shape, and it's everything else but the bridge. But the bridge is what got us clued in that we have a contested issue.
Yeah.
So it might be
It's Pandora's box.
stream reinforcement, it might be different
We're looking at,
abutments on the bridge or whatever, but hopefully we'll get it fixed up.
yeah, it's an ongoing process on this. So I know that the Twin Springs landowner was wanting, more stuff done, and I just, as soon as it happened and I started enveloping the problem, I was just like, this is too big to get done this year and possibly even next year. But hopefully I'll have some way of getting some funding and reduce flows to that area and reinforce all that area, so we're not paying $100,000 to repair.
Special permits and stuff you may have to obtain too in order to change the waterway.
We're not changing the waterway at this point.
Okay.
The idea is to leave it as is and then just reinforce it. So with grouting it or perhaps gabions. I'm leaning towards grouting at this point.
That's hard to change it when we get those major rainfalls, that just, it just
Well, yeah.
goes through there.
It just, it's always, we're always changing because don't put it exactly back,
Right.
right? So there is a little bit of.
The good news is that some of those structures built up higher in the dry run area, the ones out by the nesty and so on, should help slow the flow down.
Not now.
Not this
That
one,
one is
this,
coming to
this-
the dry run?
no, the only way that helps is on a.
This is on
condition.
This is on the north side of 9, that's all on the
Yeah.
south side of
Okay,
9.
that's true.
So
I was
it's,
thinking that was the same water
You
coming
got
through.
but we're looking at a similar idea as what you're talking about for the upstream, but we'd have to get landowners involved, and it's just I don't.
A big deal.
Because Berlin works on that lot. He got us buttoned up on marine structures out of Postville.
So,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to be.
further cloud the issue. Across the road, across 52, we may possibly own a piece of land between the two segments of Pullman Rock Park, where that stream flows through and there's a footbridge across it. If this question comes up over who owns the bridge and who's responsible, who owns that bridge, if we own that property, and who's responsible for it?
I'm gonna try to keep that separate.
Okay.
But because I'm trying to make this pragmatic and make improvements to the area. That is a land rights only issue,
This is a complete different issue, but
so.
you know, there's a questionable ownership perhaps, and there is a bridge there, and the bridge goes between two segments of the park. And I don't think the secondary roads really wants to be responsible for that, if there's any possible
Walking
way.
bridge between the two parts
Yeah,
of the.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
That's not just Decorah.
no, not according to Beacon, you can look it up there, Shirley.
And I don't think it's
Yeah.
not on our bridge list, so.
Well, that's good.
The state gave us the bridge and.
I mean, I've been researching a lot of different properties and I saw that one the other day.
Yeah,
We had that one, a similar thing out in Freeport where there was a footbridge that we didn't know was ours and it was getting bad and someone said, well, that's the county's, and the county said, oh, we're gonna just take it out because we don't want responsibility. Well, then a whole bunch of the local residents came and asked the board and we ended up fixing it, replacing it.
did we get it off our books? I don't
No, it's still ours.
remember where
It's a
that.
footbridge in Freeport. It was basically the request by the local residents was that it would keep, it was before the trail was right there.
Okay.
It would keep people off walking on the road if you kept the footbridge there. And
Okay, that brings me up with another, a third thing I had to bring up that's come across, my desk. So the feds have decided that, the feds have decided that Rockwell Collins can only work certain times with certain shifts. So I have been in touch, with, forgetting his first name, Mr. Mugler. He's been in touch with me to try and figure out ways to possibly alleviate the traffic congestion that's gonna happen, particularly in the mornings out there at Freeport, because they have to show up between 5 and 6 instead of spacing it out between 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. So there is an idea that is going to create large queue lengths and create traffic bottlenecks early in the morning. I have been reaching out to the different.
You're gonna have the same thing in the afternoon too, though.
They are, they're mostly concerned with the morning, and I can't remember what the reason was for that, but I'm dealing with trying to get contacts for all the other private entities. I received a call from one of the people I reached out to on Friday. I was out of town on Friday. So that's called a fourth thing or fifth thing that I'm dealing with. That isn't quite in the report every week. But that's going on as well. And then
Does that time frame conflict with the school bus barn there?
the tail end of that does,
Last 6 months.
yeah, it's gonna be a problem there. So,
Back to your other thing you were gonna talk about that I interrupted, so.
what was it? It was I have been working on bridge inspections, it's more bridge load ratings. I got a permit in and I looked at it and I said, oh, we got a problem here. We don't have, the backup data we need. And then I looked into it a little bit further and we don't have load ratings for many of the bridges that we need, on highly traveled paths that Brunings takes. So, I've worked with the, Chuck Britson, the bridge inspector, and worked with Brunings to see where the common paths are, and we're working to get the bridges that are necessary to have a truck that fits the equipment that goes over these bridges, so that we're safe from liability if something were bad to happen to these bridges. Basically, the load ratings are for up to 90,000 pounds right now, and a lot of the trucks can kind of fit that, but Brunings has some equipment that comes in at 180,000 pounds, and it's not clear which truck we should use to get that. In the past, what's been done is a special permit for each bridge has been done. I reviewed this. I said, I don't have any of that information, and it's not up to date. So I'm programmatically going with Brunings, working with Brunings haul routes, and going to systematically go through each bridge. And I would say we're about 50% of the way through the analysis on that, in terms of which bridges and which routes to do. And we're gonna get a bill from Chuck Britson to load rate these bridges to facilitate that traffic. Talk to engineers. They think that we should be asking the contractor to pay for some of this. I'm kind of, if this was like a one-time thing, I would say, okay, but this has kind of been going on for 15 years plus, and they've been using it, and everything's been going through. Engineers that have had that happen before, the costs haven't been recouped. I've talked to other engineers about this, so bridges outside these common locations, that's my intention to do that, but trying to recoup all of these costs all at once would be probably too big of a bill for Brunings to swallow, and it wouldn't be just Brunings that's got big equipment over these. So I'm kind of stuck in a sense, because they would say, well, why aren't you charging somebody else to do this? But going forward, I'm going to have this information and yeah, it's going to be
It's hard to charge one person to be able to load rate a bridge that anyone can use.
That anyone can use, and that's been used in the past without having this. So it's just, it
might be that you raise your overweight fees or something to help.
I can't do that by state law. So it's just
something account gets to swallow.
Yeah, it's just been,
yeah,
it's been a fun 3 weeks.
Same record over and over and over.
It's been a fun 3 weeks. So, because this all kind of hit all together at the same time. But yeah, wanted to know that I've been doing this because that's been happening in the background. And I haven't had anything to report on really, because I don't have any official findings. So, yeah. With that, I guess that's the engineer's report. Like I said, I didn't have anything to report on those last 3 or 4 things in the official report, but needed you to be aware of the situations going on in that department.
Thanks for the heads up.
So,
I had a gentleman call, he lives on 133rd and he must be by some public land and the cars are always parking right in front of his property and he has a, hard time.
he came in this morning. I actually can talk about that right now. He came in. So basically what we've done in the past, and my policy is, if someone calls in, hey, can we park to go, take a kayak down the road? I said, at that point, you guys are in obstruction. And, if I don't know about it, then fine. But at some point, this gentleman's having some issues because feces and beer bottles and his mailbox and all of the stuff's happening at his house.
Yeah.
We had a similar situation and the office assistants were here when this happened on Cattle Creek Road. They have a no parking by sheriff's order. I think that we might be coming to the board with a resolution to put those signs up around his house. I'm gonna look into it further.
Yeah, so I thought I'd bring it. He wanted me to stop out.
Yeah, this is, like I said, I don't really want to stop access for people who are responsible.
One bad
But it's
apple.
yeah.
Unfortunately.
But they don't-
You've got that, and I don't
think it's one bad apple here either.
So you got kids or grandkids, somebody's doing that. And
Yeah.
It's not, that's not what we want, and we wanna, and so I might be requesting the board to put those signs up. We could probably put them up unilaterally, but the sign that we have says by sheriff's order. That's what we already have. It's not really the engineer's order or anything else, so I'm probably gonna just ask for a resolution or something.
Make sure you look through that Cattle Creek stuff, because that went on for months and we had to have public hearings and there was crowd full of people here arguing for or against it. And it was not just let's put up some signs.
Yeah. I haven't done any research. It came in, the gentleman came in at 9 o'clock this morning.
I think that wording ended up on those signs for legal reasons. So I don't think you can just say it's your order, because I don't know.
That's why, this is why it came up, and I wanted to talk that out loud a little bit. That's in the pipeline. It's not something.
I think basically, I don't think you have the board doesn't have the authority to regulate the parking along the road. So it has to come down to the parking is no longer safe, so the sheriff has to regulate it. That's why it's by sheriff's order rather than the.
Yeah, and then I would tell them that it is technically an obstruction. Like, you can't park. I mean, it's the same thing with Ulrich. It's like because they're moving, it's commerce, but this is recreation and it's just different.
Yeah. You want to see an eyesore, drive up and look at that.
So I
don't think you can just say that the county can't just say along a county road, say there's no parking here like you can on a city street.
Right.
So it has to wait, you have to wait till it becomes an issue that there's a obstruction. Well, then now it's an obstruction which is regulated by the sheriff rather than
it's actually state code. There's can be no obstructions and
right. And
so what becomes an obstruction is that's a very gray area.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell them,
we're working on it.
To be continued.
We're on 133rd. And
near my place, there's some public fishing acts. There's a small parking lot there on 133rd, but it doesn't accommodate everybody. Not everybody wants to go in right there. So
yeah, I haven't looked into it very much. It's
unfortunate they're doing.
And it's Trout River Creek is what
I was at the state one time, God called me, just come down there and show him what's going on. He had beer bottles in his cornfield, and all this and that, and people going there doing the same thing. Car pulls up. Mom and dad, or grandpa and grandma, 2 kids, a couple grandkids. They open the door up, 2 bags go blowing down the ditch. Yeah, I see your point. They never even made an attempt to go,
Get the trash.
yeah, really, I see your point.
That's the bad
Yeah.
acts.
It,
That's too bad.
And these, yeah.
Because most
And
people.
I knew who the
using our
people were
streets
too. Yeah, that's the sad thing.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, yeah, I see your point. Right there it was. Yes.
it's unfortunate, but,
Yeah.
so.
You know, on the same token, go the first
Yeah.
mile out Locust Road from Casey's and it's the dump. People, Culver's, Bud Light,
Mhm.
that whole section of Locust leaving town. And good old Marlene Fensterman picks it up all the time, bagfuls of stuff. So there's bad players everywhere and it's unfortunate.
Just don't see along the highway like you used to. It's,
Yeah.
it's not as pretty conscious.
All right.
All right, that is everything I have.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. Yeah, so I'll just get hold of it and tell them that.
Yeah, we'll be in touch on that.
Yeah, okay.
3 of them left then?
You wanna do them or do you wanna save them for next
No,
week?
let's do 'em.
Okay.
Put them down.
52 is data processing, so this one, you noted the increase is basically, this is the budget that we pay for our server and solutions contract for the programs that we all share in the courthouse. What's happened is our server, our central server is getting older. We had gotten, John Luke and I had gotten a letter about 6 months ago that said that it's getting too old, we need to replace it. Well, that's like 60 to 75,000 to replace it. Instead, we worked with Solutions, we had it, some things upgraded on it, and so we figure we've got 2 or 3 more years now with the current server. But we do have to, the maintenance contract has been increasing, because it's getting older, so, you know, power supply goes out or something, we have a contract to pay for it. So that's part of it, is the maintenance contract, plus the Solutions had 6 years ago promised a 5-year price freeze. Well, so that was nice for 5 years. Well, then last year, you know, if you don't increase your costs a little bit each year, so then last year we got hit with like a 20% increase for their programs. Well, that's because it's basically 5 years worth of increase all at once. So that does play a portion into why it was cheaper several years ago than it is now.
So Luke has been talking about looking at a different vendor, which will take a couple of years to implement.
Yeah, I don't think that there is actually a, ISAC has put together a work group to investigate other vendors or other, even if you're using the same vendor for your hardware and software, other vendors to provide product support or things. So they're investigating that. That's still in the works. So until we.
When we were at ISAC this last time, I think I talked to that one company, because John asked me to, and I think there's something like 70% or so of the entire state uses that company and not Solutions anymore, because Solutions we can.
But it's complaints about Solutions and that company, both is why ISAC has been, so you wouldn't want to switch just to that company because you.
I would say see what the team at ISAC.
Yes, exactly.
Find out what ISAC's reporting is,
Yeah.
because they're taking those 2 vendors plus others that they're recruiting to try to look at a solution that'll be more beneficial for all the counties. And it's not a pretty picture.
So that's why we didn't want to look at spending 60 to 75,000 on a mainframe, because then if you decide, you're tied to it for another 5+ years, whereas, you know, this way we bought ourselves 2 or 3 years with the current mainframe. At that point, we'll know what ISAC is recommending, if there are other options, because really there's only 2 right now. There's 2 vendors that have programs that run for county finances. And and it's constantly people switching between the 2 because there's complaints because they're the only 2, and there's complaints about both of them. So anyway,
customer service driven.
Yeah. And it's the thing with Solutions is I never had any complaints with Solutions for years, but they were a Iowa company established by an Iowa owner. He sold it to, he sold it to a big international software company who now is trying to use their other people from around the country and Canada and so on to maintain a system that's specific for Iowa, and it's harder for them to understand it all. Sometimes I actually basically quit going to those trainings because it ends up that the people in attendance know more than the people giving the trainings because they're new at it too, because it's this new company. So
Right.
they lost almost all of their longtime employees after
And the continued challenge seems to be that some of the other vendors are looking at don't necessarily have all of the different components that both of these two vendors already have. They don't necessarily have all of the functions. So
So yes, there is some increased cost in this. I mean, some of this, it has nothing to do with solutions, so that we also pay out of this budget some things like our scanning software and some of the things that all the offices that are like basically used by all the offices, but so there's things in there that aren't necessarily that we're paying solutions, but that ties in with solutions. Like if we go in to look at a property record, we can click a button and then we can see the deed, or we can see the filings, the homestead and military filings in the assessor's office or whatever. Those things are all tied into our solutions program, but they're still separate companies. So it isn't just solutions, but that's the biggest chunk.
It's less than 5% though, isn't it?
Yeah, if you look back at the 22, 23, it is quite a bit.
It's a lot.
3%.
Yeah, but you can see we don't tend to use a lot of those bottom couple lines, but we will be hitting that 10,000 for hardware and software maintenance now. Going forward, that's gonna keep going up, so we are gonna have to hit that line some. When you go back to the 23, it was new enough, our server was new enough, it came with like a 3-year service contract when we got it, so we didn't have to pay for any maintenance that year. But then now each year it's gonna go up some.
so basically the 9 and 10 are solutions.
The big chunk of those are solutions, but some, like I said, some of it is, some of those other smaller parts that they connect into solutions. If it's something like our internet or our phones or something, it's paid through the IT department. But when it's connected to this system runs our shared database for our accounting and real estate, then it goes into this one. Care facility, this one, I mean, this one is minimal. This is basically, we put a little money in this one, 62, for maintenance out of that property around the Wellington. So, we spent like 1,700 last fiscal year. That was when we did some work on the driveway and we put some recycled asphalt or something down, or some
That seal
trees.
trees too.
We did some trees on there, so it's smaller stuff. We keep a little money in there just to pay for maintenance. It may be, who knows, I mean, if we don't have that property, we may not need that in the budget. So that's that one, and then the last one I have is 64, substance abuse. We pay, there's now and then we get some treatment charges, but that isn't usually very much. The big one in here is the 10,000, and that's what they haven't requested it yet, but that's where we pay the money for the support we give to help me out, England. And helping services. That's the big one. It's the money we give to them is the big expense in that budget. Then we get some revenue in that budget, and that comes from the liquor licenses, liquor and the cigarette permits. That's where that money shows up in its revenue, our share of that.
Okay, everybody's gonna go up.
Yeah, well, actually, that's mostly the liquor licenses. And we don't have a lot, but everyone outside the city limits ends up being.
And that's all regulated by state.
Yeah, the state does it all, you just get a share of their filing fees. And we do have a little bit of work with that when they file for a liquor permit. I mean, the last step is when it comes here for your approval, but Lori has to get like a map of the premise and, you know, show some different things, look up ownership and so on before it gets to you. So we have to go through and there's like check boxes that we've done these different things on the state system before they'll let us issue it. Yeah.
And one, correct me if I'm wrong, but we had a little issue with one, Snyder, the name was different on it or something. And they had to go back.
They had to go back and change
I
it.
mean, it was to the point where it was almost ran out of time.
Yeah.
Before they didn't have a liquor license, but so, yeah, there's a little more than just.
It is, yeah, there's more to it than, and most of the time when we get notified, they've already had to have taken care of a bunch of steps with the state, getting their insurance filed with the state and so on is the first step. Then we get a notice where we have to approve some things, and then the final step is it comes to you guys, so.
Maybe it had something to do with the address or something, but it was pretty minimal, but it was causing.
Yeah, it was good. They were gonna say you could quit selling it.
Yeah.
Walden, it's your turn.
He's gone.
He's gone. You gotta say, move to adjourn.
Oh, I'm not gonna, before we do adjourn, before we do adjourn, I was just gonna update. Had a Hawk meeting last Monday, heard from contractors, which was good. We had a CSS meeting on Wednesday. The accounts will be closed out at the end of this month, and then it will sunset before January 1st in its own entity. So looks like there'll be enough money in there at least to cover our bills, and then they'll turn the rest over to the state. So that's down to two. What they'll do is they'll close out the bank accounts, but they'll prepay the closing costs to the people we're contracting with, who are the previous employees, the accountant and stuff, to close that out. So say goodbye to that one. But yes, let's adjourn.
Second to your adjournment.
The motion is second for adjournment. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Oh, what should we do with this book?
I didn't know. It was actually addressed to me and I'm like, well, I don't need it. Fine. Send it down here.
Yeah, my absence last week was walking pneumonia, Dan.
I don't doubt it.
It was, I even found some coffee and had some ribs out.
I couldn't get out of the house fast enough myself this morning, the way my wife sounded.
Oh, boy. My wife had been snacking a little bit, but not like I was. One of those I have to admit, antibiotics was necessary.
There, I made a spot for you to set it.
Yep. Just leave it. Oh, okay.
You have more for us next week? But
There'll be a few more. We got a bunch of the miscellaneous taken care of, and I've got a couple departments and some more organizations lined up now, so. Remember exactly what I have.
you got the same funds as last year. Oh, increased expenses elsewhere. What do we get? Good money for COVID.
Good question. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we do little things like moving that 70,000 of, or whatever, it was 60 or 70,000 from the general to supplemental for the courthouse utilities, but there's still three here. But other little places, I mean, we're running out of things where we can cut things. Or shift things.
There was no income increase was. Sean's money, Sean's money doesn't really come back, but does it?
No.
Stays
I mean, the one thing about Sean's money is if he wants that building up there, he decides that that's the way you decide to do it, is that he could lease it. And we could say, well, give the first 3 years for 250,000. So that you can get the 250,000 that you need. Sorry, that's
And the $300,000.
the model, and I don't know where you would get that money, so.
Ain't gonna happen. No. Okay.
Okay, Fatima, you can shut it down, thank you.
So.
Let's get that off before you